Hello lovely people, it's been a while. Just ignore my hair for today. In this video, we're going to be talking about getting your first job. So as a teen, one of the things that you want to consider first things first is transportation. So you're probably 15, 16, 17, maybe 14, and you either have your permit or you have your driver's license, things like that. So are you going to be driving yourself, or are you going to get dropped off by a parent or a relative, or your brother or sister, things like that. So that's one thing that you should consider. The second thing is your resume. Now, obviously, I hear a lot of people talk about how they don't have any experience and they don't know what to put on their resume. And for places where you can apply for jobs like Indeed, for example, you have the option of not including your resume, but including it will probably set you apart from others. So I recommend that you do include a resume. And if you don't know what to put in your resume, then you just have to think about all the clubs or extracurriculars or activities that you've done outside or inside of school. I know that I've done it. For example, I babysitted my cousins before repeatedly for like years, and I included that in my resume. Now, was it paid babysitting? No, but it still required all the responsibilities and actions that goes along with babysitting. So it shows that I'm responsible and things like that. So I still included it. Another thing to consider is your clubs or activities. Have you volunteered? I've been a tutor for a nonprofit organization. I put that in there. It kind of like paints a very good impression for the hiring manager or whoever it is that's going to be interviewing you or accept your application. But if you guys need help, I literally have a template that I made that you can click in the description below, and you can definitely use that to make your first resume. Now the third thing is positions. So your teen, you're probably thinking of working in fast food or retail. It's best to choose a position that you know you're going to do well in and then you're well equipped for. So for example, usually when I was looking for a job, I used to think that I could do everything. Like, it doesn't matter as long as it paid more. Now, of course, that's not necessarily the perfect mindset to have, because there are going to be things that you just can't do if you know that you are not well equipped to do something. So for example, if you're someone who has an extremely quiet voice, like it's just something that's natural to you, like that's just who you are, you just have an extremely low voice that people often find it hard to have a conversation with you because they have to keep asking you to repeat yourself. If you're that type of person, maybe drive-through is not for you. Maybe working at that side is not for you. Maybe whatever position that requires you to speak the loudest or the most is not for you. Unless, of course, you want to challenge yourself, then that's fine. But it's best to choose the position that you're well equipped for, because I promise you there'll be more opportunities for you to, advance and go up. Okay, so you know where to work. Okay, so you know what position you want. You have your resume prepared, and you know exactly how you're going to get to work from home, from school, whatever the case may be. Now, all you have to do is prepare for your interview. So excited! Yay! All you have to do is literally stand there or sit there in absolute fear and continuously questioning your existence and why you're here and whether or not you should be doing this or not and all that stuff. But no fear, because I got you. As someone who's been through a lot of interviews for weird, different things, it's not even a job, it's just like random interviews in general, like academically, jobs, life. I got you. Here are a few tips that I would give you as someone who's going to their first interview. And I say first because it may not be the first interview for you, but it may be your first job interview. So my first tip would be, if they were to ask you, tell me more about yourself, a very common question that you most definitely probably hear is, you should definitely go on sprawling about all the things that you're good at. Now, of course, you don't want to be talking like forever for endeavor, like, oh, I'm this, and I'm this. Like, you have to show and present yourself, if that makes sense. So if you claim, for example, I'm Isabel Koye, I'm a student at da 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 da. I decided to apply for because I really like the products that you guys sell. Um, my sisters worked here before. I have some good memories here, and I believe I'm fit for this role because I'm extremely responsible. I babysitted before. Required a lot of patience. Required a lot of communication, which I think is vital for this job position. Seen as how da 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 da, things like that. Because you want to be conversational. You don't want to, sound like a record, like a record that's never gonna stop playing. I forgot what the word was. We don't want to sound like a broken record, basically. As you continue to go through the interview, your interviewer is going to ask you a whole bunch of different questions, and I have like a list of questions that your interviewer might ask you, and even questions that I've been asked myself, maybe not word for word, but like similar to those questions that I've been asked in an actual interview in the description below, so you can also look at that and you can practice if you'd like. At the end of the interview, your interviewer may ask you, hey, do you have any questions for us? And to that, I definitely want you to respond with a, yes, I have a whole bunch of questions for you. Maybe not a whole bunch, but definitely enough to show them that you're definitely interested in this job and you want to know more, because obviously you want to know more of something that you like, right? That's why you end up searching unboxing videos on the internet for like hours and hours and you haven't even gotten the product yet. Just me? Okay. When it comes to asking your interviewer questions, there are 3 types of questions that you can ask. So you can ask a culture question. So that could involve things like, oh, like what is it like working here? What is your favorite part of the job? Are there opportunities here? Things like just culture, anything related to the culture of the company. Like, the second type of question that you can ask is your duties, because obviously I feel like this should definitely be your priority. It should be at the top of the list when it comes to asking questions. Like, ask questions about your roles. Are they things that, like, what are some specific things that you're going to have to do that wasn't listed in the job application? For example, you want to ask things like, oh, like how often will I blah blah blah, will I be given breaks, how long are the breaks, because obviously it's different for each state, I believe. You want to ask like, oh, are the breaks free? Actually, this would be a culture question, like, do you guys get discounts? Or I guess it doesn't have to be a culture question, that could be both. No, it would definitely be culture. It doesn't really have anything to do with your role per se, but I digress. The point is, you can ask about the culture, especially when you're getting the interviewer to talk, because usually when people talk about themselves, they really like it, and you would definitely want that to happen with your interviewer. So just ask them like, oh, like, how long did it take for you to become manager? Like, just strike up a conversation. It makes you more memorable, and people are more likely to remember memorable people. Besides, an interviewer should be able to tell, your character, your tenacity, and all those things through your body language, the way you're speaking, and things like that, and also by your attire, but we'll talk about that later. The third type of question that you want to ask is doubts. Again, this is another way to make you more memorable. You want to ask your interviewer like, hey, what are some things that you doubt about what I can do? What are some doubts that you have about me? Okay, so for you, maybe you're 14 or you're 15 and you're trying to work. It could be possible that their response to that question is like, oh, because you're young and I don't know if you're going to be able to do this. So you want to ask those questions to sort of comfort them in a way, to reassure them that even though I'm younger, I'm still qualified and able to do this job. So if you ask an interviewer that question, they were like, oh, it says here that you've been a babysitter, but you mentioned later on that you haven't been cooking for a while, so I don't know if you're gonna be blah 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 blah. And you can just reassure like, oh, a quick learner. Things like that. Moving on to the attire. This is actually one of my favorite parts, kind of, because how you dress definitely impacts like your mood and your emotions. So if you walk in there with like your pajama pants or things like that, first of all, they're not going to take you seriously, and you're definitely not going to be taking yourself seriously as well, because coming in your pajama pants already shows that you're not serious about this, or maybe you have doubts in yourself, because why? Okay, but personally, me, during my interview for Chick-fil-A, by the way, that is the first job that I ever got to work at, which is quite exciting. So for my interview, you know, I dressed up all nicely. I put on my, it's not a dress shirt. I don't even know how to describe it, but definitely I would say I dressed up business casual, because I want to show that I'm serious. The way you dress is how you're dressed. On the first day of your job, you're definitely going to make mistakes. If you're a prodigy, or if you're just someone who just has that street smarts and like you're just good at learning, you're actually a fast learner. Like, awesome. Because I definitely had people ask me if it was my first time on the job. I don't think it's necessarily because I was doing horribly. Either way, of course, there has to be a moment of growth, and you will find yourself learning from your mistakes, because that is technically what you should do, and that is what I'm doing right now, even till today. Personally, I would recommend that you just apply on the company's website itself. Like if you want to work for Chick-fil-A or Starbucks or something like that, I would go to their website and apply from there through the careers. Good luck on your journey to getting your first job as a teen. I'm so excited for you. You're on your way to adulthood, I guess. Good for you. Maturity. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful for you. Again, don't forget to hit the link in the description below if you want that resume template, and if you want to look at those free samples of interview questions, especially ones that are asked for me, especially if you want to work for Chick-fil-A as well. I definitely advise that you look at the interview questions as well. And that is it for today. Bye.